Hi, today we will talk about managing business ethics. In 1993, the authors began discussing business ethics, facing skepticism about its longevity. At that time, ethics was just emerging in corporate training and academia, with some business schools requiring ethics courses. Many believed ethical concerns would fade like other management trends, despite ongoing scandals. The 2008 financial crisis starkly demonstrated the dangers of neglecting ethics in business. It highlighted how interconnected actions can lead to widespread disasters, fueling public mistrust in corporations and governments. The authors emphasize that ethical behavior is crucial for effective business practice, impacting not just companies but society as a whole. Referencing Adam Smith, they argue that capitalism must be grounded in moral principles to succeed. The authors contend that ethical standards influence personal and national reputations, stressing that corporate misbehavior has far-reaching consequences. They advocate for a serious engagement with business ethics to prevent repeating past mistakes and to foster sustainable success. The financial crisis of 2008 was primarily not a result of illegal activities, but rather unethical practices that caused significant harm and violated principles like responsibility, transparency, and fairness. Factors contributing to the crisis included cheap borrowing. The Federal Reserve's decision to lower interest rates led to a surge in consumer borrowing, encouraging excessive spending and debt accumulation without considering borrowers' ability to repay. Real estate investment boom. Real estate became a popular investment choice due to rising property values and low interest rates. Speculation and flipping properties for quick profits became common practices, fueling the housing bubble. Predatory mortgage practices. Lenders relaxed lending standards, offering liar loans with no income verification or down payment requirements. Risky mortgages were bundled into securities and sold to investors, spreading risk throughout the financial system. Role of rating agencies. Rating agencies like Standard & Poor's and Moody's failed to accurately assess the risks associated with mortgage-backed securities, providing misleadingly high ratings that contributed to investor losses. Lack of oversight. Regulatory agencies, legislators, and risk managers failed to anticipate and address the risks building up in the financial system. The repeal of regulations like the Glass-Steagall Act allowed for risky practices to go unchecked. Short-term profit motive. Bank executives and traders were incentivized to prioritize short-term profits over long-term stability, leading to irresponsible risk-taking and excessive bonuses. Crisis of trust and ethics. The crisis highlighted a lack of ethical decision-making in the financial industry, with practices like selling liar loans raising questions about the ethical standards of the industry. The crisis underscored the importance of ethical considerations in financial decision-making and the need for greater transparency, responsibility, and regulatory oversight. Addressing these ethical lapses is essential to prevent similar crises in the future. After a series of business scandals, cynicism towards business and its societal impact has reached epidemic levels in the United States. Despite the financial sector's significant failures, most mainstream American companies have maintained responsible and profitable operations. However, the decline in consumer trust in corporations, especially in the U.S., has been substantial according to the 2009 Edelman Trust Barometer. This decline in trust has impacted consumer behavior, with many choosing to purchase from companies they trust and avoiding those they mistrust. Cynicism about business ethics is not a new phenomenon, exacerbated in recent years by high-profile unethical behavior in leading corporations. The media's negative portrayal of business and its leaders has contributed to growing cynicism, influencing public perceptions. However, studies suggest that the majority of employees in for-profit enterprises feel their companies uphold strong ethical standards, despite external cynicism. The portrayal of business in movies and television further fuels cynicism, often depicting business owners and executives in a negative light. Business school students, in particular, have shown signs of cynicism about business ethics, reflecting broader societal attitudes influenced by media narratives. Efforts to counteract cynicism include establishing academic integrity policies and honor codes at colleges and universities. Additionally, initiatives like the MBA Oath, created by Harvard Business School students, aim to articulate values that MBA graduates should embody in their professional lives. The MBA Oath emphasizes principles such as loyalty, integrity, and responsible stewardship of resources to create sustainable and inclusive prosperity. The movement around the MBA Oath has garnered significant support from graduates and students globally, signifying a shift towards proactive and ethical business practices among future business leaders. The initiative highlights the importance of integrity, accountability, and ethical conduct in the business community, countering prevailing cynicism with a focus on positive values and responsible leadership. Okay, now, the question we have is why bother teaching ethics, or can business ethics be taught? The debate about whether business ethics can be effectively taught centers around the notion of the bad apple theory, suggesting that ethical behavior is innate and individuals with poor character are the root cause of unethical behavior in organizations. However, this theory oversimplifies the complexity of ethical decision-making and the influence of organizational environments on individual conduct. While individuals may have predispositions towards ethical or unethical behavior, management must recognize that organizational culture and structures play a significant role in shaping employee conduct. Discarding bad apples without addressing systemic issues within the organization is unlikely to prevent unethical behavior effectively. Ethics training is crucial for preparing individuals to navigate the ethical dilemmas they may encounter in their professional roles. While upbringing and personal values provide a moral compass, they may not suffice in guiding decisions in complex business scenarios. Specialized training can equip individuals with the knowledge, skills, and frameworks needed to identify and address ethical challenges specific to their professions. Contrary to the belief that ethics are fully formed and unchangeable in adults, research indicates that moral reasoning continues to develop through social interactions and educational programs. Business schools play a vital role in ethics education, especially considering that business students have shown lower levels of moral reasoning compared to students in other disciplines. Ethical conduct is not solely a matter of individual character, but also a product of environmental influences. Organizations must actively guide employees towards ethical behavior through clear policies, training programs, and a supportive culture. Neglecting to provide ethical guidance can inadvertently foster unethical behavior within the organization. Teaching ethics is essential for guiding individuals towards ethical decision-making in professional settings. Organizations should actively promote ethical conduct through explicit guidance and a culture that upholds ethical values. Effective ethics education can help individuals navigate the complexities of ethical dilemmas they may face in their careers. This book presents a managerial approach to teaching business ethics, departing from traditional philosophical or legalistic methods. The authors emphasize that business ethics is fundamentally about human behavior within organizations. Drawing on extensive experience in management, consulting, and teaching, they assert that understanding and influencing ethical conduct is essential for effective management. They define ethical behavior in business as actions consistent with societal principles, norms, and standards, which are often codified in laws and company codes of conduct. The book aims to provide practical guidance for managers to understand their own ethics and lead their organizations ethically, acknowledging the influence of individual and organizational characteristics within the broader global business context. Key topics include individual decision-making, group dynamics, and the social environment of business. The relationship between law and business ethics is crucial to consider, as merely following the law does not encompass all facets of ethical behavior. While the law establishes society's minimum norms for business conduct, there is significant overlap between legal and ethical behavior. Many believe that abiding by the law equates to ethical behavior, but ethical standards often extend beyond legal requirements. Visualizing this relationship through a Venn diagram illustrates that while some actions are both legal and ethical, many ethical standards transcend legal boundaries. Behaviors such as conflicts of interest or affairs in professional settings may be legal, but are considered unethical in societal norms and corporate ethics codes. Instances like the 2008 financial crisis highlighted actions that were legal but widely deemed unethical, emphasizing the broader scope of ethics beyond legal compliance. Moreover, situations may arise where individuals encounter laws they perceive as unethical. Historical examples like racial discrimination being legal in the past and the distinction between legality and ethics. Similarly, companies operating in regions with lax environmental or labor regulations face dilemmas where legal practices may conflict with higher ethical standards, prompting decisions on whether to prioritize ethical values over legal requirements. In essence, the domains of law and ethics intersect but are not synonymous, with ethical considerations often extending beyond legal mandates to encompass societal ethical standards and issues that legal frameworks may not address adequately. The importance of business ethics extends beyond mere compliance with the law. Individuals, as workers and responsible citizens, have compelling reasons to care about ethics. Ethical conduct fosters a positive work environment, promotes personal satisfaction, and aligns with societal values. The aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unethical behavior, emphasizing the interconnectedness of individuals and the impact of unethical actions on society as a whole. Contrary to the classical economic view that people are solely driven by self-interest, research in behavioral economics highlights the significant role of altruism and moral considerations in human decision-making. Studies demonstrate that individuals often act based on ethical and emotional considerations alongside rational self-interest. From the ultimatum game experiments to neuroscientific findings on fairness perception, it becomes evident that humans are innately wired with moral and ethical dimensions. In the workplace, ethics play a vital role in attracting and retaining employees. Surveys indicate that individuals prefer working for ethical organizations and value ethical conduct over financial incentives. Organizations that prioritize ethical behavior foster trust among employees, contributing to loyalty, commitment, and a positive work environment. Managers face the challenge of preventing unethical behavior within their teams. Unethical conduct not only jeopardizes organizational integrity, but can also lead to legal repercussions. Ethical lapses can result in substantial financial losses due to workplace theft and legal liabilities for managers. Cultivating a culture of ethics is essential for building trust, maintaining organizational effectiveness, and mitigating unethical behavior. Industry initiatives like the Defense Industry Initiative on Business Conduct and Ethics Day exemplify collective efforts to uphold ethical standards within sectors. These voluntary initiatives aim to promote ethical conduct among member organizations, emphasizing the importance of corporate self-governance and ethical business practices. Society at large values ethical behavior in business. Businesses wield significant economic power and must use it responsibly to address the interests of various stakeholders. Responsible business practices help maintain stakeholder trust, prevent reputational damage, and mitigate regulatory intervention. Corporate social responsibility (CSR) is increasingly emphasized globally, underscoring the necessity for organizations to consider their impact on stakeholders and society when making decisions. Trust represents one of the most valuable yet elusive benefits of ethical business practices. Though difficult to quantify, neuroscience has begun to uncover the biological foundations of trust, revealing that the brain releases oxytocin during trusting relationships, creating positive feelings during cooperation. In today's service economy, where a company's reputation is often its most valuable asset, trust functions remarkably like a bank account built through consistent honesty and commitment keeping, allowing withdrawals during difficult times as long as the overall balance remains positive. Organizations with substantial trust reserves enjoy significant operational flexibility and freedom from constant scrutiny, saving tremendous time and energy across relationships. Johnson & Johnson demonstrated this principle during the 1982 Tylenol poisoning crisis by voluntarily recalling all products despite no regulatory requirement to do so, making an enormous deposit in its trust account with customers. Such trust becomes even more crucial in global business environments, where it facilitates open information exchange, reduces the need for costly controls, enables rapid adaptation to change, and supports working through cross-cultural challenges. However, trust accounts can be rapidly depleted when ethical lapses occur. When trust is broken, flexibility vanishes as every action becomes subject to intense scrutiny. Corporate scandals like Enron created tremendous damage to public confidence that extended far beyond individual companies. As Bruce Nussbaum wrote in Business Week, such massive ethical failures profoundly shock our most deeply held beliefs about the honesty and integrity of our corporate culture, representing corruption on a massive scale rather than isolated incidents. The 2008 financial crisis further devastated public trust, with polls showing only 4% of Americans considered Wall Street firms trustworthy, and only 25% would believe statements from banking professionals. The erosion of trust affects the entire business ecosystem, with even blue-chip companies facing increased shareholder skepticism and demands for transparency. Companies now find that meeting profit projections by narrow margins triggers suspicion rather than confidence. Restoring trust has become essential for preserving access to capital, the lifeblood of the economic system. Encouragingly, many companies have responded through governance improvements, including board restructuring with independent directors, executive compensation reforms, and renewed emphasis on both the letter and spirit of regulations. Beyond trust, values serve as a fundamental glue binding ethical business practices at individual, organizational, and societal levels. For individuals, values represent core beliefs about what matters most and appropriate behavior across situations. People generally agree on the importance of honesty, fairness, and respect, but differ in how they prioritize these values, influencing career choices and ethical decisions. Similarly, organizational values guide corporate thinking and behavior, with companies like 3M embedding core values like innovation deeply into their culture through leadership commitment and systems that encourage collaboration and learning from mistakes. For organizational values to function effectively, companies must authentically embody them rather than merely post aspirational statements. Enron's downfall dramatically illustrated this disconnect, with published values emphasizing excellence, respect, and integrity, while actual behavior revealed profit maximization at any cost. At the broadest level, societies and cultures also share fundamental values that shape business environments and expectations. Despite cultural differences that often dominate discussions, core ethical values show remarkable consistency across cultures, even in corrupt environments. People express preference for systems where honest and fair business practices prevail.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to channel.